I can hear you just fine. This is funky. There we go. Yeah, we're good. I see it. Everybody good? No sound, zero sound. Don O'Neill even chiming in.
Don O'Neill chiming in.
Good now. There we go. You know,
Smooth jams coming through.
Yeah, I mean, we should be good now. You good? Yeah. All right. Works now. Thank you, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties. What better way to kind of wrap up 2020 than the shit like that goes on around here? So
it happens on mine all the time, so you're good.
I mean, I see that Don O'Neill is your co-host on the show today, so it must be some note-taking time for that dude.
Yeah, maybe he's gonna. Actually, he's probably mad because I canceled recording our podcast today for this one. So we're gonna be making up tomorrow. So it's all good.
Sorry, Don, but sometimes the big blue oval
That's
calls.
Right. The boss called, and sorry, Don.
But guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Again, last episode of the year. So we'll get to the kind of the year-end recap. But this episode, I had to call in the heavy artillery today.
Oh boy.
Just to go over. We get a ton of requests. It's one of the most. When I talk about requests, every single day, at least 5 to 10 emails a day, we get asked about sponsorships, and it's been on my mind. We've talked about this. It's this time of year. Oh, yeah. Everybody's trying to get their budgets in order and everything else. So we figure we're going to kind of dive into it, just full deep into all your questions, how, what, when, where, why, the do's, the don'ts, the stuff to stay away from, and really about how to start and get somewhere. Not that I'm not claiming that I'm a pro by any means.
Oh, me neither. I mean,
but we are marketing a degree guy there and a marketing guy here for Impy, and I believe we feel like we know what we want to see as a business guy.
Yeah, I feel like I've done a lot. If I had all the answers, we'd be full blown. It'd be like my 10th year at 24 races a year. But no, there's a lot that you can learn and along the way that may help one person, but it may not help the other person. Like there's so much to all of this stuff that people don't think about it, and a lot of people don't really talk about it. So I mean, I'm more than happy to share some experiences and some stuff that kind of works for me or may work for a lot of people. A lot of people look at this stuff and they think, I just want somebody to pay for my racing, right? That's the biggest thing. I want somebody to pay for my racing. Well, if you stop thinking like that, you'll probably go a lot further. There's so much more to marketing and sponsorship and things like that we'll dive into here in a second. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. Everybody just wants to get paid to be a racer, or a professional racer. But I'm here to tell you, it's a lot harder than it sounds.
Well, and not to downplay it at all, right? But I'm kind of utilizing you and using your experiences and the trials, the tribulations. We've had many late night phone calls, many of we've been to meetings together. Mm-hmm. We've shared a lot of different things, and the hurdles, the obstacles, and this is kind of where like and for many who don't know, Cam, grassroots, youngster cowboy here out of Southern California that has started from nothing and worked to the pinnacle of his dream, obviously drag racing and a top fuel dragster. But to scratch nickels and beg for change and borrow dollars, gas cards, it's all of putting this whole package together. And this is really why we wanted to stress it. Because like, if you're going to do it, you got to get your books in and your proposal. And we're going to go through a lot of that stuff. So guys, get buckled up, get a drink of water, get a frosty beverage for us.
Yeah, please do. It's holiday season,
and get the questions ready. I mean, this is really what we wanted to do, kind of our little gift, our Christmas gift to you guys, and say, look, if you're going to go after some business and you're going to go after some sponsorship, know what you're going after, know what you're going to achieve, what you're trying to achieve, and then how to go about doing that. And that's really what this show's all about. So
yeah, there's a lot more to it than just the sticker on the side of the car, and
those days are gone.
Yeah. The day that you learn that is the day that you'll go a lot further with sponsorship.
Yep. And guys, thanks for checking in already. So Michael Fernandez, thanks. Dusty Summit, glad to see you. Thank you for referring so many people. I mean, we're already up over 40 on this one stream itself. So stoked to see it. Let's dive in. I mean, what better way to do that than I think just start really with what is your goal? What do you guys, what is, when I say you guys or you, I'm not always, so we're clear, I'm not directing it to Cam. We know what he wants to do. But
everybody knows my goals.
Yeah. His goal is to not ride shotgun in the class 11 on weekends anymore. He'd rather do that 24 times than something else.
I'll do that 2 or 3 times a year, but 24 weekends, I'm planning on being busy.
Yeah, whatever. Overrated. So diving into this, again, buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. And I think that, I mean, the best way to do is just kind of dive into it. I mean, I think, you know, for me, right, is for a guy that is actually doing both sides of the fence. I'm trying to get a little sponsorship to help the racing program on our stuff. But at the same time, you know, we get a lot of requests, right? What would be some of the first guidelines and things that you would like to, or you would recommend people to start doing?
I think the number one thing is you really have to look at this stuff. You know, a lot of people get really confused. They say, you know, I just want somebody to pay for my sponsorship or to pay for my racing. Well, how can I do that? Or what do I do? The biggest thing is you have to go into, if you're going to try to get sponsorship, you have to look at it as not your hobby anymore. This is now your business, whether it's your hobby or not, which is great. I mean, it can be your hobby. That's perfectly fine, but you have to run it like a business, because when there's money involved, money exchanging hands, product exchanging hands, a lot of this stuff, it then becomes a business. It then becomes your job, because you have commitments later down the line when we talk about you're doing things for the company or the person or whoever it is that you have to, you know, show for it.
Fulfill.
Yeah. And so if you don't look at it as a business and it's still a hobby, it's always going to be a hobby, and you're going to have a really hard time finding sponsorship.
So the first note I kind of put on there, and that's kind of a little bar across the screen. So we'll do a bunch of different things like this, but we'll be just create a plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Create a plan of not only just what you want, what you're going to do, what you're going to try to do or achieve, and just paint the picture for somebody.
And I mean and this plan doesn't necessarily, it's not, I mean, sure, it's part of it, but a plan for yourself and then a plan for going after sponsors, right? So looking at companies, researching at companies. I used to, before I do what I do now with racing. Yeah. I was a marketing manager for a motorsports company for many years. And we would get a lot of people sending sponsorship decks or proposals or whatever, you know, like you said, 5-10 times a day. And Corey's not exaggerating. Like, that happens all day long. And they say, you know, I just want product, or I want $50,000, or I want $10 million, or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, well, what kind of car do you have? Blah, blah, blah. Well, then come to find out it's something that doesn't even work with that car. So and they're like, oh, well, I didn't even think I was going to get a reply or whatever, you know. And if it's something like that, you have to do your research, and you have to know in that plan what exactly is you're going to do. Like we were just talking about this a minute ago, Impy, right? They've been a partner of mine for a really long time. So far, it's been over a year now, and
seems like eternity.
It's an eternity. But people say, oh, well, why do you sponsor a Top Fuel Dragster? And you know, we deal with that all the time, right?
Yeah.
But but people don't realize on the back end we have other things that we're doing business wise, you know, television, you know, all these other things that I personally can bring to the table. So come up with a plan. What in that plan, what companies are you looking to research? What can you do for that company? And and goals for yourself. You know, another biggest misconception that a lot of people, I remember I used to sponsor a bunch of people at my previous company as well. And they would say, well, why do you sponsor so-and-so? He hasn't won a race in Lord knows how long. But I would say, well, because this person has sold so much more stuff for our brand, right? Because of this. And it had nothing to do with his racing. It had to do with other things that he did outside of it, but it grew our sales. At the end of the day, all these companies, they want either sales or advertise. Like, you have to find out what that is. Is it sales? Is it, you want Joe to come to Billy's Pizza Barn or, Pizza Planet
Yeah.
on the weekends, or I don't care what it is, large or small. So
Yeah, I think that to kind of dive into these a little bit more, and again, guys, we're going to jump around a little bit, so kind of as we're going to roll with the flow. But when we start getting into it, and we start talking about some of the banners that we've talked about, which was create a plan, right? That creating the plan is going to be a multifacet, right? What are you trying to accomplish with this stuff? Getting into who you're trying to reach. That's
if you
some of
come
the
in
stuff
unprepared, it
you
will
get.
definitely show.
Yes.
If you were like me in high school and you waited till the night before to do any sort of project or homework, don't do that when it comes to sponsorship, because it will definitely show in your pitch.
Well, and on the flip side of that, guys that have put together a really nice write-up. I'll give you an example, right? This person, I will not use any names, and this is I took this was actually his submission for an application for a job here in the marketing department. He did his research, got my name, my business address here, addressed this beautifully packaged envelope, and inside was such a well done written proposal. As far basically, it was his deck. I mean, it was his work as an artist and as a creative designer and as a graphic designer, and it stuck out. That one is in the file drawer. The ones that have just splashed, spammed essentially is what they're doing. With who do I contact for sponsorship? I mean, come on. There's certain stuff like that, and we've seen it, right, Eddie? I mean, there's the stuff that we've shared.
There's a reason why they have sponsor me or sponsor at xcompany.com or whatever, because it tries to filter some of that stuff out.
Yeah.
So, and if that's what you're sending this, you made your deck from your high school report, and it looks like that, and you send that to sponsor at xcompany.com, you're not going to get a reply. You have to do the research and you have to figure out who you need to speak to, or else you're just wasting your time.
Yeah. Lucas, great point. ROI is everything. I mean, and when we talk about ROI, right? Some of you guys, ROI, return on investment. Okay. But it's not always monetary, right? So for us, and especially like even the racing team guys, it's not about the monetary of, especially for us, we're a wholesale only company. So we won't be able to give you a coupon code and come back so we could track the sales to that coupon code. Like there's so many different things here.
Right.
So what we need to do, like, and what we do, some of the organization or our sponsorship plan is strategically place product with the right people or support the right people that, again, in today's age with social media and the content and the YouTube and all the things that they're doing, that's how we get the ROI back on that product, right? Or where we're sponsoring stuff, right? It's, we've done things where it's been a small sponsorship for this. Oh, well, we're not about ROI. Well, then, we're not about sponsorship for that, because if
they
you look at it, if they
did a little research and they knew, that's what I'm saying. When you do your homework, you'll know what they're looking for. Is that brand awareness? Is that social media influencer? Is that TV time? Is that, hey, test my products? Is that whatever that is? You need to know before you even go waste your time or somebody else's time to pitch the deal.
And then we kind of go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And I personally feel in some areas, in some forms of motorsport and pretty much, you could probably lay it across the blanket of everything. If people really sat down and looked at what can I do to not just get this widget and then be able to go, I can help my racing program, but it's about the longevity of the relationship, right? Yeah. You got your one widget. But you didn't get the newest widget when it comes out in 3 months, or you didn't get the support when you're at the race for that said widget. Or
I told somebody the other day, I said, I get a lot of people that ask me questions about this on a daily basis. And I said, don't go for, I might be jumping ahead a little bit here, but don't go for the gusto right away.
Hey, somebody's at my door.
Oh, there you go. Don't go for the gusto right away. Go do that in years 2 and 3. Get a renewal, on that contract. Don't say I want $50 million the first year and then under promise.
Yeah. I mean, you were just here, right? I just received a phone call from a very prominent tire company. And I said, look, you heard me right now. It's like, I'm not even asking for monetary, even who we are or anything else. I'm looking to have support, number one, and have a product that is tried and true, and we've already been testing it. And so, and then it's not what I want to do for year 1. It's year 3. It's year 5. It's that longevity. The biggest thing we got to stop doing is stop looking for that quick buck, right? Stop looking for who's going to give me what. Like if you really want this light, then go after that light company. Don't go after the 5 others like an also ran. And if you get lucky, because then you're going to get, then what if you get proposals back from 2 or 3 of them and you're like, oh shit, like now what I got to do? Right. So I know we're going to jump around a little bit, but Jim, JP Miller, where do you get info working proposals?
Info on making them, maybe?
Yeah, it's probably what writing proposals. Okay, there it is.
Well, I guess that's, what was that, number 3 or whatever?
Yeah, so we're getting to, we actually made a little ticker list here.
Because and we'll get through it. There's 2 different things. One, a proposal is,
yes, so that's actually number 4. Yeah. But we'll talk about, and we'll kind of jump around, but know what the difference between a deck and a proposal is, right?
Yes.
Trick, question. We can break it down for them. I mean, really, what is a deck versus a proposal?
Yeah. Does anybody know? Comment, and when we get to number 4, we'll talk about it.
Think about it. And Lucas, you're exempt.
Yeah, Don, you're exempt too. Yes, we do. If this stuff, I'm not trying to use this as a commercial, but if this is something that you guys enjoy listening about and talking about, I know Corey asked me to come in and do this, but we also
you plugging your show right now?
I am.
Good Lord.
Don O'Neill and I do a show called Racers and Rental Cars, but it's a motorsports marketing business show. Yes, it's a lot drag racing centric, but we talk about business and the backstory. So check that out on Apple iTunes or whatever.
It's number 2 behind MP Insider.
This guy.
Got him. But no, on a serious note, they do bring a lot of cool stuff to the table, and it's really cool. Actually, just watching that show grow over time has been has been a blast. So shout out to Don. And
started as a joke.
So we'll talk about this. Let's explain in your plan, in detail, but don't overcommit. Right. What is your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Whether it's we talked about whether it's racing RC cars or a BMX or class 11 or Top Fuel.
Yeah, I don't care what you do.
Explain what you're trying to do.
Explain what you're trying to do and take it serious, and be realistic in your goals. I told somebody the other day, I said, you can't, if you get the stats and figures and whatever for, the TV package for drag racing, right? And you say, hey, I want to get sponsored by whoever, right? And, we, our TV numbers we get 1 million people watching our shows every week, but you don't race Top Fuel or Funny Car. You race, say, Super Comp or something like that. You're kind of lying. Like, you have to know what you're selling, because what's going to happen is they say, oh, wow, I'm going to get, I'm going to sponsor this guy for $15,000 and I'm going to get seen by 1 million people a weekend. Like, heck yeah. And the next thing you know, come the end of the year, like, you didn't fulfill your obligation, because when they start doing research, you got to really know what you're pitching and playing.
Yeah. And I can speak it from experience just with working with you and looking at like some of the stuff that NHRA will publish to their group, right, about TV time and numbers and airtime. And then, you as a racer are responsible for saying, look, I know that at Indy or at Charlotte, I got 14 seconds of airtime in an interview that was 47 seconds.
And that equates to X amount of dollars.
Yeah. And that's all. So these are at the macro level. And hopefully we're not making you guys start nodding off and, going to sleep, but these are all these little tidbits of information.
You want to be sponsored. You need to learn how to do all this stuff.
So yeah, when you get to the big time and stuff like that, but I think if you take it and not just like, oh, I'm going to race, either way, it'd be NASCAR or Top Fuel or whatever else. If you look at it as truly that business and you say, look what I got you, in front of the camera, or this is what was written about. Like, not everybody's going to get TV time at a local little race, right? But what I look at and what I've been able to, use some of the articles that are written and how much, call them inch. This is for Paul Schley. Call them inch, Mr. Schley.
Yeah, it all counts. You know what I mean? And that goes to, people talk about, oh, well, I can't get sponsored because I only have 47 followers on Instagram. It doesn't matter. You will grow your following as you get bigger. But if you're looking for a gas card, I think that's something that people get too big for their britches too when they first start looking for sponsorships too. Like when I was younger, I've been at this game since I was racing junior dragsters. Like I didn't come
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Last week I just sold that sucker. But I didn't come from a super wealthy family. Sure, they supported me and did whatever, but I mean, racing's expensive. We all know that. So I needed to figure out how to race. So I found myself selling single race sponsorships as a junior dragster racer or at a super comp level instead of trying to pitch a whole year for $20,000-$30,000 when I could say, hey, you go to a local tow company in your area or, regionally look at where you're racing. Say I race in State Line or I race at whatever. And you look, even if it's a franchise, there's somebody that owns that company and that particular McDonald's. Like, yeah, you're not going to get sponsored by McDonald's, but if there's a McDonald's next to the Saturday night sprint car track, and you can create some sort of way to get the racers or fans afterwards and use a promo code, hey, they're going to kick you back some money, and look at it like that. Or a tow truck driver company or, tow service, they have tons of trucks. It costs a lot of money to put diesel in a toter home and a rig or even a truck. I mean, to fill up your truck, it's $100, right? Plus you're towing. So you need a couple $100 in fuel to go to the racetrack. So you got to find somebody to do that. If you don't have to pay for it and you can give somebody a $200 return or a $400 return off of that, that's a win-win, man. That is a huge win. And do that multiple times. Don't go for the $10 million sponsorship because you don't need $10 million. How much does it cost you? Let's just throw out a number to go super comp racing, right? A bracket weekend warrior kind of thing costs $1,000. Let's just round it up to $1,000, $1,500 a weekend, right? Okay. So, or do you do $1,000? I race 6 races a year. That's $6,000.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get $6,000 than it is to get $1,050,000, whatever. Right. And break it up. Okay. I need $1,000 for this weekend. The sticker it's really easy to replace a sticker or to do something behind the scenes anyways for the next, for whoever it is, and they feel it's bigger on that one event or whatever it is. Like there's so many ways you can skin this cat that, people don't think about. They just think the sticker on the car.
Yeah. I mean, we used a good analogy earlier about the pizza joint, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to local race somewhere and you say, hey, Billy's Pizza Joint, can you help us out and supply the pizza or whatever the food? You got to feed these guys. I mean, we got an army when we go out racing now.
It's an easy write-off for them to make 4 extra pizzas for your crew guys for a Friday or Saturday or whatever it is, and then see if you can get the other racers to go, buy a couple pizzas and a couple pitchers of beer when the races are over, and they just made their money back tenfold.
Yeah, and then that's the reciprocation side that I think is so crucial, and I think it's just been forgotten. Mr. Corey Mack chiming in.
Hi, Corey. You should be here.
You should be here.
Yeah.
Don't make me send you the link and invite you in as a guest because you've chased dollars for 30 plus years in the pro categories. And I'm glad to see you chiming in here and monitoring what this young man is doing over here.
Yeah,
so.
Oh boy. Big brother's watching.
Yep. But I mean, again, everything with to go racing, right? In all fairness, yeah, it's only $1,000 you say to go racing, but there's wear and tear on the car. There's the maintenance on the outside. Yeah, so it's a lot more to
whatever that
whatever
number
X is.
If it's $5,000 to freshen your motor every year, right? You got to put that slush fund in there, so you got to divvy that up. Okay, so that becomes divided by 6 or whatever, and then also you got tires, you got for off-road guys, bodies and all kinds of stuff, but that's know how much it costs to go racing for a weekend, whether you're adding that stuff in or not. There's hard costs and then there's
fixed
miscellaneous. But a lot of people don't realize too that if you get sponsored and you sign a contract with somebody, you got to be there regardless if you kick the rods out of your motor or not the weekend before.
Yeah.
So you got to factor that in. Do you have a spare motor or not? And if not, you have to go back to the sponsor and say, hey, you gave me $10,000, but I can only make one race because I blew up my car. Do you want the money back or what do you want to do?
Exactly. So what would be the best way And just guys, keep the questions going. We're trying to monitor them as best as possible as they're coming in from all the different platforms.
No,
yeah, I'm doing the best I can to monitor them. So, Don put a comment up and we shared it to knock out your expenses. I mean, that's really a great avenue for it. There's also guys that freelance that are very good at writing proposals and doing stuff. Guys like Dusty Summit, Jason, that dude is creatively gifted in writing. He doesn't like it very much, but he does a very good job of it. Fantastic photographer. And then we're going to talk about utilizing the shots and events and the things you do to kind of repay a little bit, that little extra mailbox stuff and
performance reports, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's what I say when number one is look at this as a business, not a hobby, because there's so much. I mean, we could go on for hours and hours of things and ideas of what it takes to do everything, and it never stops.
No.
You know, and what works for Impy and I will not work for Rockstar and I, or whatever. Which they're not in drag racing, but I'm just saying, like, there's things that work and there's things that don't, right? So if it doesn't work, that doesn't necessarily mean that sponsorship is done. Or let's look at something else. Oh, you're looking for sales. Let's grow your sales. Oh, well, say you mentioned a tire manufacturer. Well, my uncle happens to own I don't have an uncle that owns a tire store, but I'm just saying, or my uncle happens to own a tire store, or my family, which is true, is in the body shop industry. So we use a lot of paint. We use a lot of material. Like, you go to those places and say, hey, tell you what, if you kick me down $500, we'll put your branding on the side, but we'll also start buying from you. And why wouldn't they kick you down a couple $100 if you're going to spend $4,000, $5,000 or whatever a month in materials, or $20,000?
Well, a lot of it is networking, right? Is utilizing the people that you have in your sphere of influence.
I almost couldn't. I can maybe count on one hand the ones that I just kind of cold called. I've got every deal that I've ever gotten through networking, whether that's through knowing somebody who knew somebody, or meeting that person at at a bar. Right. You have to tell your story also. Like, you could go to a bar and sit in there and, everybody wants to talk at a bar. I mean, you could be drinking water. Like, you don't have to be sloshed all over the place and looking like a fool. That's not a good image. I don't recommend doing that. No. But I'm just saying, like, everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to hear your story. And if you don't tell your story, no one's going to know that you want to be a professional trophy truck driver or a NASCAR racer or whatever it is. You got to tell them.
Well, it's the communication side of things, right? It's talking to your story. And on the flip side, we talk about, everybody just throws a bunch of shit to the wall and see what sticks. But if you're throwing good content out, it's going to get shared. It's going to get posted. It's going to be creative, right? Don't look at it as, give me that crankshaft and rods and I'm going to slap your sticker on my car. Cause that's really
no more
gone. I know some of the stuff that we talked about was like a 60-second pitch or minute pitch or 90-second, whatever it may be. That's that quick little hook that you can set to say, hey, look, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Corey's chiming in again, says McDonald's are 90% franchise owned, but if you get in a few of them together and ended up loving NHRA, and each corporation owned multiple stores, it was a win-win.
I'll use a prime example.
Corey was with McDonald's for quite a while.
Yes, he was.
He made a lot of money doing it, buddy.
Yep. I'll give you another prime example of that. Years ago, I was sponsored by Little Caesars, but it wasn't corporate Little Caesars. It was a chain of 7 restaurants who happened to be the people who owned all the Little Caesars in the region that I was racing at. They owned them all. So I went to them. I found out who it was. I happened to know somebody who knew them. I reached out, and it was a no-brainer for them. And we did coupon codes on hero cards, and it was great. And they were like, yeah, why wouldn't we? But it was Little Caesars on the side of the car.
Yeah.
Which sponsors, as you start to get sponsors, more sponsors will come, because they can see what you're doing for the other people. It's not just, give me, right. Yeah, give me. Yeah. If you're doing it wrong, I mean, it's not going to go very well, but
Mike Fernandez brought up a great question here. He says, do you think Ken Block changed the game for sponsorships, making an avenue for people who don't actually race, but actually provide value for sponsors without actually racing?
I would say a little bit. I don't necessarily think it was Ken Block personally per se. I think social media changed that game, because that's when the change of tide was, oh, put a sticker on the side of the car, you're going to get X amount of TV time, blah, blah, blah. Well, why am I going to spend $3 million over here when I could give this guy 100,000 and he's going to tell everybody to swipe up and it's instant reporting, that, and YouTube and all that stuff. That's where I think it changed the game. But Ken Block, he has talent as a driver, and he saw all that, but Ken Block also started with a lot more funding than but which is perfectly fine. But he was able to leverage all of his contacts and all of his stuff. A lot of people don't know that Ken Block was one of the main guys at DC Shoes. And so he was able to leverage a lot of that to do something like that. And he just had an idea and it worked. But look at how much money they're making on shirts. I mean, those shirts are at Tilly's. They're at, they're everywhere. He's probably making buku bucks on just his merchandise, but it has all of his sponsors, the Monster and the Hoonigan and all that stuff on it. They're making money too. And it's brand awareness. So every time you go, you see a shirt that has a Monster logo on it, it's a Ken Block shirt. I mean, not every time, but there's a lot, but I personally don't think he changed the game. I think it was more of a social media.
Yeah, it's the evolution of business. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about, in one of the segments here, is that what with today's climate, and really social media is everything, whether it's TikTok, you got gaming streamers on Twitch, you've got,
I saw a guy the other day, he was playing a big rig, and I call it Nintendo. You guys laugh at me. Nintendo game, and he's streaming it, and there's like thousands of people watching this guy play. He was driving a semi truck, and it's like, there you go. Is he a professional driver? No, but but there's a market for that, right? So if that's your market, cool,
and that's kind of where I'm trying to go, is not everybody's having, and I think that you're not, I'm not going to be Ken Block, and many of the other guys out there are not going to do that. What they are going to do is they're going to build something in the garage. They're going to want to race it, and they're going to want to find a way to help lessen the financial burden of going racing.
I think a lot of people, they see the Ken Blocks and these huge social media influencers, and they don't think that they can get to that level because, they have 20 million followers or whatever. This day and age, some of them, I mean, not Ken Block, but a lot of people, they buy followers and they do all this stuff, but you can tell if they have a 20,000 followers, but they have 20 likes on their photos, that's not doing anything. I mean, sure, it looks like a great number when somebody looks at your profile, but it's not returning anything to you or the sponsor. So,
and sponsors are getting smarter, right? Product people are getting smarter. So that was one of the main things that I have on here too, is when it talks about overcommitting and don't bullshit, right? It's plain and simple. Don't lie, don't bullshit, because as our younger generation is looking at social media and at content, we can sniff out if you got 25,000 followers and you're getting engagements of 100 or 200. We know you went on Fiverr and you bought some followers. It makes perfect sense.
Right.
And what you do on your social media and on your Facebook is also a extreme show of character, right? And I can tell you that if you're going to submit to me a proposal, and I'm sure you did it the same thing too, you would go through that person's Facebook.
100%.
You would go through their Instagram,
and they're hip to the fact that your first 10 photos on your deal are you and your little school gentleman outfit with your tie and all that, and then you scroll down to 2 years prior and you're doing a keg stand at the local party. It's not a good look with a branded hat on, whether it's whoever,
Billy's Pizza
Brookston
joint.
or Billy's Pizza Joint, whoever, and they're like, well, they obviously didn't care about that. So it maybe do a flush of your guys' social media. I mean, people want people to be real too. There's people that make money being knuckleheads on social media. That's fine.
And that's also gonna go to the brands that are associated with that.
So
there's a
that's
big difference.
Back to know who you're pitching and know who you're selling. If that's what that company is looking for, some knuckleheads just to get a lot of views or whatever, that's what their business model is. They need that content. Great. But if you're looking for a professional in automotive, generally the automotive aftermarket is not really looking for the knucklehead world. And
And there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with certain things. Like lifestyles is lifestyles, right?
yeah, if you're
going to go after that brand and that thing, and that's what you're going to do, that's great.
just don't be somebody you're not either. Don't.
That's exactly. That's that overpromise.
Yeah. If you're the person that's doing the keg stands at the parties, that's fine. But know who you're going to be looking for to find a sponsor.
Corey brought in another comment now. It says, back in the day, it was more about the demographics. And now it seems to be more and more about social media and business to business. It's not easy, and it can be done, especially for a young man like Cameron. The business to business aspect is huge. It's done at every single level, from the very lowest to the extreme top.
Right.
And, whether it's, like you talked about a paint shop, and, and it's this school's going to do this or that. And I mean, that's how people work around everything.
That's what a lot of people don't understand with big sponsorships. It is all business to business. There's not just the logo on the car. They could really care less, to be honest, in a lot of situations. A lot of it is the back end that they own whatever part store or whatever, and they all of a sudden got them to switch to Valvoline oil instead of Lucas or whatever, and they got that contract, and that contract was worth,
$20 million
bucks, and you got 3% of that. It's pretty good cash. And then you take that cash and get your ride with the big team or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of that angle too. And I feel like a lot of people say, oh, well, I can't do that because I don't know anybody, or I'm just a guy. And that's fine. Don't go for those sponsorships. If you're a weekend guy and you race at Irwindale or you race wherever on a Thursday night and that's what you want to do, there's nothing wrong with that. But look in that geographic area, hit up, like we talked about, hit up the tow companies, hit up the pizza joints, hit up whoever. All they're going to tell you is no, or they're not going to respond.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to worry about getting told no.
Yeah, exactly. So then you just take that as a no and you move on to the next pizza joint. And what you'll start to see happening is you see something on somebody's car. You're going to get all your buddies that are going to try to get that same logo on their car.
This might be touching on a personal subject.
No. Well, no, but what I'm saying is what I recommend doing is if you can pan the pits, and if you have Joe or you have Domino's on the side of your car, me as a marketing guy and a guy that wants to grow the sport and not try to take that money from somebody else, I'm going to go hit up Pizza Hut. Say, look, Domino's is out here and they're giving 2-for-1 pizzas. Why don't we do 3-for-1?
Yeah. With this code.
Yeah. With this code.
By the way, track my audience and we'll do it for 3 races. And if it is after the first 3 races, like go in sometimes not expecting to get anything up front.
Yeah.
Go in and saying, look, I'll earn this because I know what I'm going to do. Yeah. I'm going to deliver the goods and you're going to have such a good response that you're going to give it back to me.
Do the extra homework. Don't go for the low-lying fruit. Sure, yeah, you may be able to take that sponsor from somebody, but not only did you just lose a racer, because maybe they need that money to get there, but you may not be able to deliver what they did, right? Yeah. So it's not going to, so it could only last a year. So that person's out of a sponsor and a ride. You've managed to mess it up, and now you've made the company mad because they don't want to be dealing with all that stuff. Yeah. And so it's just a bad deal. So go do some extra homework and look at it as a business. There's a lot to it.
Yeah. I where I wanted to go with that original thought too was don't just go like we talked about the low hanging fruit, but don't always go with that first thought of to try to get something. Right.
Right.
I know a lot of people use, and I'll use MP, right? A lot of people use MP products out of the gate. Don't just be like, oh, well, now I want something like, hey, document what we're going to do. Like, hey, I'm already using your stuff. Mm-hmm. But what I can show you is look at how much stuff I'm already talking about your product. Right. That's kind of what I was referring to with your thing in the pits, right? If you're going to go out and say, look, Domino's is already here. Let's go to Pizza Hut. Let's do this 3-for-1. I'm not even going to ask you. I'm going to show you what my results are for the first 3 races I'm going to go to, or 2 races I'm going to go to. But if I do deliver, 50 coupons, I'd like you to give me $500 for the next race.
Right.
Something along those lines, because everybody wants that quick buck, and that's it's ruined. In my personal opinion, it's ruined sponsorships for the small mom and pops, brick and mortar businesses, for guys that we used to be able to throw $500, $2,500 for somebody. They haven't received it. Oh yeah, I threw a sticker on your car and thanks for the little picture frame of, you holding it, right? There was nothing else. And now with the age of just even Facebook, right? I mean, hell, my parents are on Facebook now. Like, anybody can be on Facebook and utilize something, right? And then learning about it. But it's that stick and move. I always say, I gotcha, bitch. Now I'm on to the next one.
Yeah.
We've lost that whole, like, just being grateful for the opportunity and how to keep, Fred's transmission shop in business, because he wrote $2,500 and it took him 12 trannies to get that $2,500 of like free and pure cash.
Well, you even start looking at things like your transmission deal, right? So there's parts in a transmission. And if you have somebody build your transmissions or whatever, they're going to use some distribution house or whatever. So if at the end of the day, if that sponsorship is small, like, hey, he gives you $100 a weekend, you put the sticker on there, and next thing you know, you get 3 more people to have their transmissions done there. They're making more business. They're spending more money at the distribution houses, buying the parts. And then in year 2, you come back and say, hey, what distribution company did you say you used? Let's chat with them and see if we can put some branding on there and kind of merge it all together. And then everybody's happy. Like, it
doesn't happen overnight. No, unless you're rich. Or your family's rich.
That's another thing a lot of people don't realize too. A lot of people that are in racing are wealthy. That doesn't mean you can't succeed. I'm an advocate of that. I don't care where you came from, what color you are. You can be purple and from Mars, and you can still do what you want to do as long as you're willing to work for it. And, everybody says, oh, well, so-and-so's just was born into it and this and that. Don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care.
But that's part of being the fight in the underdog. Good fight, man.
Yeah. But people give up. They think, oh, well, I sent out 4 sponsorship proposals and it didn't really work out. I sent it to sponsor at xcompany.com. Never heard back. Well, of course you didn't, because you didn't put a valiant effort in and you didn't try to go for it.
Don's chiming in, telling secrets. You know what, man? I think it's if some people haven't figured it out by now, I don't think they're going to take the initiative to do it. But if those that do, will be great. Because honestly, if it can bring more people to any form of motorsport or any form of, maybe you're trying to get new kids into BMX racing, it all starts somewhere. Dirt bikes, mini bikes, pocket bikes, RC cars. As long as we're able to help somebody, then this show is all worth it for me for the day, right?
I am a proponent of, I will say, not doing everything for free. And when I say not doing everything for free, it doesn't necessarily mean a monetary number, right? So I use this example a lot. You get people.
I'm nervous. I don't know where he's going with
No.
this.
No. Everybody says, oh, well, you get 2 sides of the story. People say, well, you need to do all this stuff for free, and then it's going to lead to something bigger and better. So you get somebody that may be extremely wealthy, and they've given them, say an oil company gives them 1 case of oil, right? That 1 case of oil, and then next thing you know, they've got all the branding, all the everything on the side of their 18-wheeler. You don't have an 18-wheeler. The same company is sponsoring somebody else and giving them a decent amount of money. So let's just say 20, 30 grand. And the other guy got a case of oil, and they're doing things better than you, but because they can, and they don't need the money, and it makes the other racer look really bad. Yeah. So be careful with that. If you're the person with all the money, great. That's awesome. Just remember the little guy at the end of the day, and don't just try to swipe that that company from that person and go and do that, because then they're going to say, well, I gave you a case of oil and I gave this guy so much money. $1 million. And you didn't, it doesn't work. And so a lot of people do that. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there that you got to really watch. That people don't realize. They think, oh, well, this person's factory sponsored by somebody, and they just gave them a can of whatever flavored water, and all of a sudden, everybody just wants to be sponsored.
Yeah,
they don't want to be a racer. Like they want to be racers, but they just want the.
And frankly, I can tell you from multiple levels and multiple times of competition, right? Because there's sponsorships in every sort of competition.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bullshitters.
Oh yeah.
You know it. I mean, you've seen it. I saw it playing ball. I saw it in.
It's anything.
It's
anything. And yeah,
you know, hey, Cameron Foray sponsors me. He's gave me a hat once.
Yeah.
So it's look,
which is fine if that's all you want.
Yes.
Cool. Call the company and say, hey, can I run your sticker?
But just don't like. I guess the best way I'm trying to go with that is don't worry about being competitive with your neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. Worry about what your program is all about what you want to do. Exactly. Now that leads us back to another spot. And I think it's very important that we start kind of now giving some framework to really where we want to go with this. Since we've been just basically shooting the shit for 45 minutes about things and random.
That's how it usually works out.
Tell all in your words, explain to people the difference between a deck and a proposal.
A lot of people don't generally know the difference.
Well, that's the key right here.
If somebody says, yeah, shoot me your deck, generally your deck is to get somebody interested in what you're selling. You, yourself, your sport, whatever it is, it has no monetary value attached to it. It has nothing other than you're trying to get a meeting out of them.
It's an introduction.
Yeah, it's your resume. It's not your resume, but it in theory, it's your world. Come into Cameron Foray's world. Check this out. If they call you for a meeting and the meeting goes well, blah, 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 generally that's when a proposal will come into play. A proposal is essentially, they say, okay, we're interested in this. What do we got here? Send me a proposal. Proposal is, this is what I can do for you, and this is how much it's going to cost said brand.
You know, and all the details go
and all the details. And then after that, if that continues to go well, you would move to the contract stage, or, you know, however, and then you work it out or whatever. If they say, oh, well, you know, you send them a proposal and say, I'm going to put a sticker that's 40 feet on the side of my car and your car's 20 feet. It's probably not true.
Yeah.
So make sure all that's dialed in. Be realistic in your aspirations and your goals with what you can provide them in your proposal, and go from there.
We'll take a question. Chase Murray.
Okay.
Approximately how many marketing decks have you sent to companies? How many meetings have you had with the different companies in the past couple of years? Good question.
A lot. I would say I've sent more decks and things of that nature to people that have somewhat been interested than I have meetings. And the reason why is because things in the world are messed up right now. And what's the first thing that's going to go is people's marketing budget.
Yep.
People got to look at that too. You don't go into a company that you know their marketing budget is $1,000 and you're asking them for 10,000. And generally in a pandemic world and all that stuff, the advertising and marketing budget is the first thing to drop off.
Yeah. Which with some of the new millennial thinkings, even like Gary V will tell you, you're the dummy if you get rid of your marketing budget.
Oh, I agree. But people do. And that's the first thing they do, because they don't want it. They see it as a big expense, right? They want money coming in, not going out. But you know, we all know it takes money to make money, but that's the first thing that they're going to hold close to their chest. So countless decks, countless proposals, countless all that stuff throughout my career in the past few years. It's been even wilder because I turned pro, or, you know, started driving Top Fuel in the past handful of years. So it's true. But with that comes an extra zero with what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you got to go for the bigger companies and the people that are more, you know, that are looking for that avenue, right? That want the TV time or want the business to business relationships, or not the guy, not Joe Bob's Pizza, which Sure,
There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
It's a scalable thing.
You just
right?
have to get 20 Joe Bob's pizzas in order to equate. It's just however way I've done a lot of the smaller, you get 10 people to give you $1,000, then
one dude to give you 10.
Right. And
you've mastered that art,
I've
buddy.
mastered that art. And but I mean, until the big one hits, but right now it's very, very hard. I will tell you, it's very, very hard.
Yeah, great question. And Hamilton Nixon, looks like he's coming in from YouTube. What is your advice? You're exactly one of the main reasons why we did this show today. What is your advice for people who don't have large social media followings, but can provide great content or other value?
If you continue to grow your content and create great content, the following will come.
Yep.
Don't get so caught up on the K next to whoever, however many followers you have. If you have 20 followers, but 10 of those followers are going to help out or buy something from said sponsor or go to their gas station or eat their pizza or whatever, it's way better than having 1 million followers and have one of them or not even one of them go to wherever it is. It's how you look and you skin the cat, right? A lot of people say, oh, well, I'm not even going to hit up this company because I don't have 300,000 followers. Bad way to look at it.
Yeah. And
they will help you.
And honestly, I feel sometimes that and don't, heed this, right? Because you're going to run into marketing guys or girls that are just unpleasant, and that's all they look at because they don't know any better. Right. They don't look at the value.
A lot of people don't in these roles, and I'm not downplaying anybody in the marketing role because I was one of them. No, but they look at the numbers too much. They need to look at the other numbers that are making them money, not necessarily the 30,000 or the 300,000 followers, right? Yep. And a lot of companies that understand how social media works, their following is probably pretty big. I mean, depending upon what company you're going for, but you go for a company, I mean, each general company probably have 30 to 100,000 followers, right? Whether they were bought or whatever from somebody else, that's fine. But if they sponsor you, the following is going to come. Your following, right?
Yeah.
So then that just shows that they taken in, their customer is taking an interest in you. They want to follow you, which drives the fact that, we should use MP Parts or we should eat John's pepperoni pizza or whatever, then going to Domino's.
Yeah. I mean, those are all of them are valid points. Mm-hmm. Another great comment. And this is exactly what we're here for. So I'm glad that they're coming in like this.
Yeah, please do.
Chase Murray, again, how would you go about figuring out your own demographic before deciding which companies to reach out to?
Your own personal demographic? Yeah. I'll give you guys a little secret.
Don's cringing right now.
Dude,
like, don't do it. It's 21 seasons, but just not final.
Download the latest version of Racers Rental Cars and you'll get the same information. But there's a lot of programs and Matrix and Metrix that you can purchase for really, really cheap. So that way, if somebody does ask you, hey, what's your engagement rate on your social media? You can tell them. It's pretty easy. Facebook does it all for free. You can go on there, and if you have a fan page or business page, you can click on Insights, and it will tell you all this information. For Instagram, there's a company called Iconosquare. It's something that I've used for a long time. I don't generally tell a lot of people that, but it's free for a couple weeks.
Boom.
Yeah, he's like, it's free for a couple weeks, and then I think it's like $100 a year. Right? You're investing in yourself, and that will tell you when to post, where to post, what time of day, to grow your engagement or your impressions or your likes and your comments and things like that. And for what you have, it just helps you. And I think that's what you're looking for, Chase. I would try to download that. Like I said, it's free. I think it's a 2-week free trial. And it'll give you a start. And then it actually shows if you have on Instagram, you can even click on Insights too, and it'll tell you where the most popular people that like your stuff are from. what countries and what
Oh, yeah.
states or regions. So look at that kind of stuff and just draw a circle around. Okay, I'm huge in Texas. I'm not so big in New York, so I'm not going to go hit up somebody that's based out of New York.
And I think, if you're going out and asking people for money, you need to be able to spend the money for yourself to invest for your benefit in your future.
Right. These things there's so many tools. That's the number one thing that I think is great about social media is the fact that all this stuff is at our fingertips. We can get these metrics and stuff that we used to just be basing everything off of, like Corey was saying, demographic, region, and the TV, right? Other than that, that's all you had.
Yeah.
Now you can have a demographic on anything.
That's
at a click of a button.
I can at least say, and I think many people would agree with that. I think right now it's almost, I would say, easier to get some sort of support in other realms because there's so many different avenues. Don't dilute yourself by trying to do everything, right? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Zoom, this. Stick to an area and focus on it.
I'm bad at that. I don't even have TikTok, or any of the. I'm an Instagram guy. It's just what I like.
Yeah,
right. And that's fine.
To me, Instagram's easy, right? Because you need to have. But I mean, if you're going to have a secondary source, right? Because you're either going to be really strong at Facebook, you're going to be strong at one or the other.
Right.
Just play to your strengths. Do really damn good at it. But don't forget when you're posting in other areas to tag those people that you're even enticing. A good example, Lucas talked about something earlier. Like, he already used our products, right? So when you're in your garage and you're, I'm working on my SC bike. It's okay to tag SC bike.
I do that all the time. That's a secret that I do.
Yeah.
I'm
dropping bangers right now, right?
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
And a lot of people just take that for granted, right? Because they want to see the real, like, me and for me personally, I don't like seeing overexposed, super playful, perfect shots, and this is all shaded right and this and that. I want to see you in action, unedited, maybe even with a cell phone, and get into it and watch you work. Like I said, a lot of people asked us to do shots in the empty garage. What we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm giving you raw, unedited footage, and the clowning around, the joking, and the dirty stuff, and everything that goes along with it.
Everybody wants a backstory. Everybody wants a good story.
Do that in your own. If you already have an MP product, or you already have a BMX bike, or when you're working on it, and maybe your kid's got an SC bike. I use SC bikes because they've done a damn good job marketing. Plus, I'm a huge fan of their product. Shout out to SC bikes. I think it's just really cool that if and it shows that you're not asking for anything yet, but you're planting that seed.
Right. Well, here's that. I'll take that to the next level. You mentioned like SC bikes or whatever, right? If you're sitting on your bike, whatever, tagging SC bikes, next thing you know, somebody in the marketing department is in control of that, right? So then they're going to be like, oh man, Cameron Ferre who's this Cameron Ferre guy? Like, he just keeps tagging me in this stuff. What are they going to do? They're going to click on Cameron Ferre or MP Insider and go, well, who's this guy? Oh, he races something or other, and he also rides my bikes. Shit, that's pretty cool. Maybe we should send him a bike.
Yep. We're giving out all the secrets today, boys. Yeah. Merry Christmas, but it's late.
Yeah.
And it works, right? I mean, I can tell you, and Eddie, you'll probably vouch for me on this. I would hope you vouch for me. But I mean, how many times have we said, oh, here's a care package, send this to this person? It could be a toy, it could be a t-shirt, swag, sticker, because maybe I saw what they did on social media. And I mean, it's so cool. And for me, as somebody that's really trying to lead this brand for the future, I think it's bitching to get. Everybody likes mailbox cards, right? I think a handwritten note from yourself is so much better than text and so meaningful. So if you drop a handwritten card and you send it to somebody, dude, that's going to send shockwaves for that brand, and you're going to the ROI back on that, because Billy Bob up in Washington got this cool care package with a t-shirt that's probably a size too small, but it had some cool stickers, it had a keychain, and it had, whatever. It's going to go, he's going to tell everybody about it.
That person's going to post it on his social media, and he's going to wear that shirt all the time.
And that's really what I want people to fall back in love with the brand, right? And that's really, I think, how we do it with how I look at doing it with sponsorships. And I think it's really important.
Absolutely.
Just to have that loyalty. Jason said, do the basics apply, or any tips to those looking for product sponsorship for those who don't race but are looking for a specific item to their custom build that will be at events, shows, and etc. I think
you got to look at it as
it's all the same.
If you're a racer or not. I mean, this could be for the SEMA show car build guys or whoever. Like, look at your build as a business, right? So you, like you said, you want free product. What are you? I used to get this a lot at my previous place of employment too. These people, they want our products. They're very expensive, right? What do I got to do for you to send me one? Well, we don't just send things out, right?
Yeah.
Unless there's a reason. So if I'm going to send you the next widget or whatever for your car, what am I going to get out of that? Right? I got to at least be able to, the marketing person has to be able to at least justify saying, oh, well, I sent this person $1,000 part, and they're going to this big show or whatever, and they're going to put Impy on their board, sitting on the show, or stickers on the window or whatever. And then it's justified, right? I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. Look at it like that. Look at your car as a billboard.
Now on that subject, and we're going to kind of start winding down to a few things. So get those last questions coming in. But I think we're going to talk about the flip side of some of this stuff. Okay. When it talks about, your car builds, right? Guys, I've heard it plenty. I've lived it outside of here. I've hustled for parts. You among every other person out there, when they talk about their car at SEMA build, all right,
that generally never see the light of day.
Correct. And you may be so excited for that SEMA build, and the other 12,000 cars that are specifically have spots may not. Okay. But know what you're asking for when you go into that stuff, right? It's not about, because if you try to talk about your SEMA build, that is, by the way, it's not a booth car, right? And it's not in a featured vehicle spot.
If the marketing person has been to SEMA, it's going to be out in the parking lot in the back, something or other hall. And
when I said it's in the parking lot or a booth spot, these are the things that I'm putting you. I'm putting you on notice now. Okay. You've worked SEMA many years. I've worked it many years myself. Cut the bullshit. Yeah. Don't try to go in and talk about your SEMA build.
Oh, we could have a whole nother episode on trade show etiquette and things like that if you'd like.
But I think if some of that stuff gets misconstrued, don't always go in there looking for a free part. If you're going to build your SEMA car no matter what, like you say you're going to do, then my free widget shouldn't matter. Right. But if I give you a 50% discount on it, treat it like it's a free widget.
And if they're going to say, oh, don't send 5 companies that manufacture the same exact thing and just go for the one that's just going to give it to you for free. Sometimes that's not usually the best, but I mean, or maybe do something like we say, we look into the future, right? Look for year 2 and 3. So look, if you're building a SEMA show car, maybe hit up, I'm not saying to hit up Corey, he's going to get inundated tomorrow, but, hit up whoever and say, hey, I'm building this car. I just want to let you guys know that this is what I'm doing this year. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just letting you know, if you guys feel free to use it for any sort of content, I'm giving that to you for free. I'll shoot you some pictures. Feel free to use it in any ads or social media, whatever. I'd appreciate it. Cool. Yeah. And then that way, if they see the car at SEMA or PRI or wherever, next year when you're building the other, oh, hey, I remember John that built the, 68 or whatever, and that thing was sweet. Let's hook them up.
Well, and then I can give you a firsthand example of this. Person didn't ask. We know they were building the vehicle. They were buying parts through one of our people, right? That person was building with our parts. I'm like, that looks like it's gonna be a pretty cool car. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. We'll transport it for you. and I'll pay and I'll put it in the featured vehicle spot.
Yeah.
Just because you've built the car so well and it showcased our product so well, we'll do that.
Yeah, you didn't even
And
ask
they didn't
for
even
it.
ask. Like that's the engagement that we're trying to do. And that car was sitting out front of Central Hall last year, front and center in front of the Pennzoil stage. Premium spot, one of the top 5 in the entire spot of SEMA that was not inside a booth. Because booth cars get lost. I mean, they really do. There's so much going on. But I think strategic cars in the right place can be very impactful, especially uniqueness, right? But I'm not discouraging anybody here to send us a proposal to tell us about their build and what they're doing. But I'm telling you now, go in knowing that you've got to commit to something.
No, but regardless, like you said, if this is it's a SEMA build, PRI build, trade show, whatever, BMX racing team, whatever it is, just do the research. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, and don't try to wear everybody out. You know,
I mean, I remember in my past life that because when we were in certain category of business, we would be inundated with requests, right? I mean, hundreds building up. It was to a point where we would give you anywhere from a free kit to 60, 50% off, whatever it was. But you had to sign a contract. And you had to sign a contract that says that car is going to be there in finished condition upon the agreed upon date in said location. And if you didn't, you were paying the kit price for this at this dollar figure in advance. And your credit card was up front. Why? Because so many people burn that bridge.
Yep.
And one thing that I can tell you that kind of goes down that rabbit hole, there's a couple comments before we wrap up, that the automotive community is small in many realms. And marketing guys work with other marketing guys within the industry to network, to try to help one another, to share content, share creators, share content creators even.
Well, prime example. That's, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but Corey and I's relationship started at our previous employments.
Yeah.
Right. So we did business together. That's how this all, it makes things the dots start to get connected, and just don't burn those bridges.
No. And
don't wear them out.
Just know that it's all about the community, man. And everybody really does want to help one another, especially if you're trying to help their brand or their product in the best possible light.
Yep.
How do you keep sponsorship or deals on focus to avoid project scope? And currently dealing with this, and it's draining me. In other words, how do you avoid scope creed and keep project focused from that sponsorship? So I'm not quite sure there. Yeah. Either that or I'm reading cross-eyed. It's been a long day. Michael, resend that, please. So I can better understand and we'll get your answer. Yeah. Lucas Hand wants to know, is Cameron getting in the 11 car again?
Of course.
That's right. We're going to ram your ass too. This clown, Lucas, was writing on Sharpie and put "Bye Corey" on his rear bumper and his chrome bumper just to razz me already.
No, I have a good time out at the Class 11 stuff. As long as my schedule permits. I really enjoy doing it. It's super fun, and it just helps with what we're all trying to accomplish. We're growing the MP brand together, and I'm super grateful that everybody allows me to go, and everybody's been super welcoming. I grew up riding motocross and stuff like that, but I never did any sort of off-road car. So it's been a new experience, and I think it's great. I love it. It's rad.
Well, and we love having you.
Yeah.
Even though you're the worst luck ever.
Oh yeah. I didn't have any luck. If I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have it at all.
Corey Mack, while you're still in here, my friend, and I don't know if you're listening I'm assuming you're watching this on your cell phone, but if you're not, I'd love for you to maybe give, as an old wily veteran who's chased millions and millions and millions of dollars out the years, what would be something you could share with our listeners today that would help? Any good advice that you could provide for somebody that's, you've raced for brands like McDonald's and for Fram and Nordic Boats and many others that were.
Corey Mack's a dream.
Yeah, Corey Mack is a walking legend. But that guy's got millions and millions of dollars out
Yeah.
of people's pockets to go racing and to provide a living for himself as well as enjoying what he does, but providing providing marketing value at it. Do you direct message on LinkedIn a lot, or do you use personal emails? That's a good one. That's a really good question. We won't give all the secrets away today. I can tell you that DMing.
I'm not a huge fan of DMing.
I can tell you that DMing is
touchy.
Is a very touchy subject, depending on what brand and what company you're doing. And I mean, you can speak on this because you worked in radio, man. I mean, many of you guys know DJ Eddie Express over here and Jesse. Both these guys worked in radio stations in LA, and I mean, you guys had to have clout chasing and all the other different stuff trying to deal with it. A different perspective, right? You're non-motorsport. How do you handle it? Because I know that, again, right now the DM thing, very difficult.
What's going to happen is obviously there's somebody that's controlling their social media, whether it's an agency or somebody, a junior person in the marketing department. If you're going to say, hey, bro, I want some free stuff, who can I hit up? All you're going to get out of that is, yeah, shoot an email to sponsor this at saidcompany.com. Or maybe on a whim, you might get the VP of marketing's email address, which you're already kind of just not. Oh, how'd you find me?
Yeah.
Oh, I slid into your DMs. Like, I don't know. There's other ways that you can get contacts. Look them up on LinkedIn or something.
I mean, LinkedIn they've gotten so much better now at filtering out of things.
Yeah.
What used to be kind of low hanging fruit and easy to grab the data is now gone. Like they're forcing
There's
you to
ways you can get it.
Oh, I know, but it doesn't come free anymore.
No, it doesn't. But
if
you got to understand, a lot of people don't understand too. Like in sponsorship, the ideas that you think that you have or whatever, they've been done before. I promise you, they've been done before. Or somebody can maybe do it better. They just don't want to. Or so there's really no new real revelation out there. It's just finding the right fit, whatever that is, whatever company, brand, person, private investor, whatever that fit is, you just got to find it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Don O'Neill says, use LinkedIn for research. Reaching out in DM is okay, but a short email. I researched and could find and not find a contact. Just keep doing your work and you'll find the email. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's why I say I'm not a huge fan of DMs, because it just kind of shows you just stopped there. Like, if you really want to contact that company, I would rather see you pick up the phone and call the company and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of the marketing department. Could you tell me their name? And then you have their name.
Yep. Then
you can search the name and the company, and you're probably going to find that person's email. If not, pretty darn close.
Good one. Michael rewrote it. Scope creep is when deliverables on a project expand from what was originally set without being accounted for in additional time, budget. How do I avoid it? That's a discussion that sometimes you might need to eat a little extra. How much shit have you done for free? Or, it's just it's part of the relationship, right? There's going to be that line where you might be in your best interest on this one just to keep your head down and bite the bullet. But when you re-quote your next one, pad it. We're all going to get those deals that just don't work out quite well. And you're going to,
and that's just it. You have to cover yourself for that, but not every sponsorship is going to be great. And not every sponsorship is not going to work. Some of them might be great. Some might not be. And and that's the thing. Like, I've always told people, if I'm trying to find a sponsorship, like, I'm going racing regardless, somehow, whether you sponsor me or not, I'm going. And some people think they have a sense of comfort in that, because it's not like, oh my gosh, I need, like, if I don't go, which, when you're talking big money, it's different. Is it better to stay home or is it better to go? Right. But you got to factor that in. We've dealt with that, right? With the COVID and all this stuff. Like, is it worth it to even go? Maybe not. But for the times that you have a catastrophic failure or something, like, be honest with them. Say, hey, look, I have one motor, or I have one shock. I'm kind of looking for two, but I'm going to go as far as I can. And I'm working towards getting a bigger one or a better one or whatever widget it is. And you might be surprised. They may help you with it.
Yeah. Especially if you're utilizing the brand and you're already supporting them.
But if you're selling yourself as your John Force Racing and you're not, it's not going to work.
It's going to catch you.
Yeah. It's going to catch up to you.
Yeah. Great points. Corey Mack sharing with us. It's not always the big fish that ends up being on the car. A lot of my best sponsors have been small at first. And then when you deliver, they go big in the future. That's exactly it. Look at past
year
the
2
first
and 3.
year one. Look at I always say, when I talk about it, when I pitch it personally, I say, I'm not looking at like year 1. I'm looking at year 3 and year 5, because it's year 2 is going to be a given. I'm already subliminally suggesting that you're going to be with me for year 2.
Right.
But year 3 is when we're really going to start hitting it out of the water, because that's
really
when
you get in the nitty gritty, and you can start pitching, and you're part of their deal now. Like, you're part of their marketing program. So year 2 and 3, you say, hey, this is kind of how we were getting to know each other, and this is how things were working out. Year 2 and 3, like, they know who you are, they know how you work, and hey, let's try this. And then if that didn't work, in year 3, let's try something totally off the wall or whatever, or let's revert back to whatever. So
yes, exactly. Lucas, sometimes you have to be the host instead of being hosted. That's it.
Everybody wants to be hosted, and that's the problem with a lot of this stuff. Everybody just wants, like I said, I just want to be sponsored. Well, for what? Like, do you race cars? Like, well, I win a lot. Okay, great.
That's a whole nother avenue, man.
I know.
I think sometimes, and again, I know it's getting, we're going a little bit long, but there's a lot of engagement still, so we'll kind of finish up. But I think sometimes too is realize at what level and what tier you're at.
Yeah, don't shoot for the fence if you're not in the big leagues yet.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it, right?
No.
And this is what I tried to express the other day with somebody, and it's more like, look, man, I know where I'm nowhere near anybody. I'm club racing, right? I'm having fun. But I think a lot of times people need to understand, like, there's racing. There's drag racing, right? So we have our little groups, right? You've got, the West Coast, this one, and East Coast, that one, and this and that. There's so many club racing groups. I want a championship in drag racing. No, I mean, in the marketing aspect, you run a championship in a club racing. Right. It's this much exposure. You got 1,500 people through the gate on average.
At the end of the day, that company doesn't really care about the championship. What they care about is the other 80 racers that you're racing against that are buying their parts or whatever.
And are you engaging enough? Are you infectious enough?
Are you a good brand ambassador for the company?
And that's exactly where I was trying to go with this. Is I think that, and really where we're trending in the future and the things that we're trying to do, to be fair across all platforms, is really look for those brand ambassadors that are great for the product, that showcase it in a positive light. We're not asking you to bullshit. We're not asking you to sugarcoat it. If something breaks, talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. But we want to know about it first.
Right.
Don't
go. Number one, I'll leave you with this. Do not. Don and I talk about this all the time. On Monday, if you broke something and you're running said oil or whatever part that company manufactures something, this piece of crap broke, blah, 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 blah. And then next week, you're preaching their competitor. And then a year later, you're on social media saying, or a year later, you're throwing a resume or a sponsor deck or whatever to the same company saying, oh man, like, I love your product, this and that. And people know, people talk.
Yes.
Like we said, like, just because, you guys are here at Impy, right? Your competitors, like whatever they're making, you probably know them, right? You're in the same industry. Like you guys talk. Like, I mean, you maybe not go to dinner, but you see somebody at a trade show, hey, what's up, man? And like, oh, did you see Steve on the like, whoa, like do you guys deal with him? You gotta really be careful with what you say, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen that person MF a company and then 6 months down the road are preaching a new company,
Yeah.
and then 6 months later,
hi, I'm back with said
Yeah,
company.
yeah. And you're not going to last very long in this industry if that's the case.
Again, we all chat, we all talk.
Be Switzerland.
Try to.
Yeah.
But it just be realistic with where you're at, and be happy,
Mhm.
and then treat it like as such, because again, you may be going club racing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I think it's great.
That's the grassroots is how all of it starts.
If my wife didn't steal my dragster, I'd probably do a lot more club racing than but it's all race. We all share a common passion, whether that's building cars or racing cars or whatever it is, and we all want to enjoy that. And if it gets to the level to where this is like where you're making your living, or getting it paid for or whatever, like that's awesome too.
Yep.
But don't do it don't do it to be a race car, like, oh, like I'm a racer.
Excuse me, coming through.
Yeah, like do it because you love it.
Yeah.
Like it's your passion. Like
and you've seen it, I'm sure, when you've sat down and talked with people and you've had other interviews and whatnot. You can tell who's faking it and who's not.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So anyhow, guys, it's been an hour and a half. It's a little bit longer than what we expected to go today, but there's a lot to cover. We hope we gave you some good insight on at least some of the stuff that needs to be addressed or needs to be talked about, or even just how to stay on focus, or maybe some Google words for you to look up and to take a look at things. But
absolutely, I don't claim to know everything by all means, and if I did, I'd be in a little different position. But if I can help anybody, you guys, you're always welcome to reach out on my social medias. I have
slide into your DMs.
Yeah, slide in my DMs. No, but like I do, believe it or not, I get a lot of people that actually message me on Facebook or hit me up on DMs that ask questions about this stuff. And again, I may not have the answer you're looking for, but I'll give you an answer, whether good, bad, or indifferent, and I'll give you my opinion. And some people don't like my opinion, and some people do. But you can take whatever I say and with a grain of salt. Like you can use it or not. Like it's just a recommendation. Like it doesn't hurt to reach out and ask, right? I mean, we're all trying to accomplish the same goal. We all want to go racing.
Well, I think it's so important. That's one of the reasons why we wanted you on the show, Cam, is because again, you're the one that's out there grinding it out, dude. I've seen you, at your peak behind the wheel of a fuel car, and I've seen you at your lowest, scrounging for $1, trying to, hanging upside. Cam, get me out of here, But I think it was important to get a guy like you in here that's living the blue collar lifestyle of many people know that, dude, you're a teacher at Cerritos College and Compton College by day and night. And then, drag racer on the weekends. It's grabbing the red eye flight. That's doing the things you got to do to make it happen. And that's why I felt it was so important to get a guy like you to share the mic with today, because it was, it shows that with perseverance, with due diligence, and with the true passion for what you're doing, you can achieve the goal.
Absolutely. And, thank you guys for having me. And it's cool when people reach out and ask me it's so funny. Like, it's such a surreal thing. Like I was that kid watching this kind of stuff, or, and wow, people like now care about my opinion. Like it's super cool. And I'm really grateful for the positions that I'm in, even though I'm still working and grinding and trying to live out my passions. And I'm not going to give up. I always use the stupid cliche thing is I'm not ready to hit the chutes yet. And because I'm not done, like there's still so much more that I can learn. And that's part of racing that I enjoy so much, is the grind and the trying to figure this out. I mean, yes, sometimes it sucks. It's stressful. It's, oh my gosh, how am I going to make my truck payment? Like kind of thing, but it's what we do. It's what we love. And, I kind of always joked around. I've never had like a real job in my whole life. Like I have fun for a living. Like, I mean, yes, I teach college, but I have fun at my job. Like whether it's racing on the weekends or whatever. Like I'm always working and I'm always enjoying myself. And one thing I guess I'll leave you with is always make sure you have a good support system. Don't be around people that are always super negative, right? Don't let people build you up. Like I have a loving wife at home and a son and a soon to be daughter here in any second. That my wife wants me to pursue my dreams and passions just as much as I do. And that goes a long way. And I'm super grateful for that. And, we're going to make it. We'll be just fine, and if not, we give it a hell of a shot. Just remember, don't give up.
All right. And thank you. Thanks for being here, man. It's been cool.
No problem.
I do want to give you the old races and rental cars, onesie, twosies. You got me last time when I was on your show.
Man. I don't even know how to answer these, but okay.
So how does it? You can recite it the best way, like who gets the FU card and who gets the Christmas card this year?
Christmas card this year.
You'll have to watch the episode to get it.
Yeah, we do a thing on my show. It's at the end. All of our guests have to answer 2 questions. It's anybody in motorsports who would get a Christmas card and who would get a WTF card. Put me on the spot.
That's what you get for you. They did it to me. So they had me on their show a couple months back.
Christmas
and Don got me good. And I was just I blubbering idiot.
Christmas card.
No pressure.
Yeah.
I know Don's just like waiting to see what happens. Oh, he's already chiming in.
Just give it to him.
No. I mean, Don, I should almost make you get me one of those, but
yeah.
I love watching you squirm. It's almost as good as watching.
I know.
I
don't like. There's so many people that I would want to, but I'm gonna go with Christmas card. I'm gonna go with NHRA.
Sending NHRA Christmas card.
Yeah, because they probably didn't get very many this year, and like within reason, they had to deal with a lot of stuff. Any motorsports promoter had to deal with a lot this year.
Corey Maxey was saying, "Poor kid."
Yeah. So, but they did a pretty good job. I mean, have your own opinions on what happened. Yeah. I have mine. Good, bad, or indifferent. They had to deal with. Yeah, they had to deal with a lot. And so I would have to give NHRA as a whole a Christmas card.
All right. So NHRA gets a Christmas card. Who gets the WTF card? And I won't even steal your dumpster fire, but we'll go ahead and roll with that.
Oh, gosh. As most people know of me, I'm a pretty nice guy and I don't WTF a lot of people. There's only a handful of people in the world that I highly dislike.
Sorry,
but yeah.
After this, I can see.
But man,
see this is my chance because he's been able to razz me at every race. Yeah. Talk about how I tried to cut my finger off. What I sound like hanging upside down in a panic.
Should I send it to Pete for WTF? Why did you flip it in the first corner?
Yeah, that would be. And Pete's chiming in. Yeah. Pete, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What the F, Pete? Pete gets the what the F card.
Yeah.
For those you don't know, teammate Pistol Pete, who got to drive in lieu of a sick Richard Sletton, got the kind of just luck of the draw. He got this chance at the big leagues. And we'll just call him One Corner Pete. Because we saw 3 enter the corner, but only 1 left.
He was really good at the straightaway, just like me. And then he hit that left-hander, and whoop, there he went.
Oh,
no, yeah, man. Like I said, I pretty much like everybody. And
Swiss. That's the Swiss, guys.
Yes.
You're taking a prime example of it right now.
If you like a Swiss movement watch, I do love me a watch. So y'all are Swiss movement. No, everybody thinks that it would be Steve. And Steve Torrance, just because we had issues, and honestly, we're cool. Like everybody, everything's fine. Like
I can vouch for that. I was at Indy with you, and it was really cool to watch that side.
Like
it was just a freak thing.
Yeah, and I mean it's all racing, and at the end of the day, I mean it is what it is, and we're all cool. And so no, it wouldn't be him. And
I wasn't even there.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't even know.
It's all good.
WTF COVID, I guess.
Yeah,
kind of ruined a lot of things this year.
Look at Don, so disappointed.
I know. I'll give it to you, Don. Don's gonna get it. So then I'll get a bunch of crap. So you guys can listen to my podcast next week and
Be sure to tune in.
Be Don's rant.
But no, in all seriousness, man, thank you so much. It's been a hell of a year racing alongside of you.
Absolutely.
We've had some great moments, and we've had some not so great moments.
Flashes of brilliance
and flashes of ignorance.
Yes.
But all in all, man, it's been a hell of a ride, and I can't wait to see what 21 has for us. Thank you guys for spending their afternoon with us, kind of just enjoying it. I honestly, man, I've just been taking it all in. I had that moment kind of pop up, Eddie, on my Instagram that showed literally it was like 67 weeks ago was our very first episode, and it kind of trips me out, man, that it's been going so long and so strong and just gaining every single week. And I remember when we first were hoping to get 10 followers, and now we're actively over 100 live listeners every single week in and week out.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
And we're watching that show
that's something that I'll leave with the final thing. Like we talked about, find something that somebody else doesn't do. Like Don and I, you have a podcast. We all have podcasts. That's an extra thing that you can pitch to your sponsors. Right? Exactly. Hey, I do this.
Would you like to see what a banner looks like on here and some branded content? Because we have them.
There you
go. This week's episode brought to you by Rugged Radios.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
But it's an added benefit, guys. I mean, it really is. And it's a great point.
There
it's
to be
all
different.
These little things that we do. And now your show's, I don't even know. I don't even want to guess how many downloads you're getting a month. I know what ours is doing, and
there's a lot. I honestly never thought that it would be something that we're, have sponsors and people actually continue to listen, and we're rated 5 stars on iTunes and all that stuff, and it's pretty cool.
Awesome, man. Kudos to you and Don. Don, my prayers go with you and everything going on at the home front. Thank you for everybody that listens in every single week, for making this. And, more importantly, thank you to my team that makes this possible week in and week out. Big shout out to my dudes, Jesse and Eddie. Thank you guys. Merry Christmas to you both. And I wish everybody listening a very happy new year, safe, and hopefully we can basically shake this last crap that's been going around, and 2021 will be back on track, not just for the country's sake, but for our mental sake and for the overall well-being of our human people. So thank you so much. And we will be back next week. First show of 2021 kicking off, and it's going to be a banger. We'll be ready soon. Thank you again. See you.
See ya.